Episode 4, Ideal Timeline, Part 2. Ceremony. Equipment setup and prep time needed. 15 minutes in case the details of the ceremony space have been captured, and 30 minutes if the decor and the details haven't been captured yet. Time needed. 15 minutes to 1.5 hours depending on the length of your ceremony. Ideal time to start the ceremony is during daylight, 1.5 to 3 hours before sunset, depending on how long your ceremony is. It's best to plan this in a way that would allow the second part of your couples session to take place 30 to 45 minutes before sunset, or in case your venue is hidden by the mountains or buildings on the west side, an earlier start time would be better as the sun goes away earlier. Cocktail hour. Family photos. Equipment setup time needed 5 minutes. Ideal location, large, shaded, beautiful area. Time needed 15 to 30 minutes depending on the size of your family photo list. To make sure this part goes smoothly, please create a family photo list with groupings of people that you would like to have captured together and assign a well-organized family member or a friend to help get the groupings together, as we don't know who is who in your family list as well as your family does, and figuring out who exactly Cousin Danny is would take up valuable time. We also recommend to let the people from your photo list know that they should stay behind after the ceremony for photos and not disperse. While the lead shooters take family photos, most often the second shooters start covering the reception space decor and details. It is best if the second shooters can come back to shoot the second part of your couple session together with the lead shooters. In case there was no chance to take bridal party photos before ceremony, this would be the time to do so. Ideal location, a spacious, beautiful shaded area or an open area, especially in case the light is already softer. Time needed, 20 to 30 minutes. Couple session part 2. Ideal time to start, 45 minutes before sunset. Ideal locations, vast open spaces that sunlight is reaching, rooftops, beaches, mountaintops, fields, any place with this incredible, amazing sunlight. We love this golden hour light, and so will you. The last hour before sunset, commonly known as the golden hour, is the single best hour in the day to take photos. And the light is soft and beautiful. It is not to be missed, as this light is nothing short of magic and results in truly incredible images. If there's no way to plan the timeline to have the second part of your couple session during the golden hour because you're already in reception, you can simply plan a sneak out session during it. In case when the weather doesn't comply and it's cloudy or rainy, the golden hour usually doesn't happen, but you can still get cool creative photos and use the situation to your advantage. Here are a few quick tips for the couples session. Assign a friend or a bridal party member to be your beauty watcher and carry some makeup and blotting papers that remove skin shine with them. They can check the way you look and help you before and during taking photos. Our shooters have to focus on watching the settings, framing, lighting, as well as directing you guys, so often little details like a loose strap may easily go unnoticed. You can also ask this person to help during couple session part 1 if you'd like. If things do end up running over and we're losing light quickly, it's best to start with the couple session instead of the family photos right after the ceremony is done. Then get the bridal party photos and then do family photos last, as we want to use the remaining good natural lighting for the creative shots because family photos are less demanding when it comes to lighting and backgrounds. Reception. Equipment setup time needed is anywhere between 15 to 40 minutes, depending on whether the reception details have been captured and whether the lighting setup has already been prepared. Total time needed is between 2 and 6 hours, depending on which reception events you would like us to capture. During the reception, we mostly take candid shots, but if you would like to take any shots with a specific guest or any other photos at all, please let your shooters know and they'll be happy to take them for you. Reception is also usually the time when things slow down a little bit, especially during dinner. If your package with us includes over 5 hours of coverage, our contract asks you to provide a hot, healthy meal for our shooters and an adequate time to eat it, as we're unfortunately unable to provide a meal for ourselves due to the nature of the job. This is done to keep our teams healthy, as they shoot weddings nearly every weekend. Very often, the caterer or the venue only allows the vendors to eat after all the guests are done eating. However, this often means that we're idly waiting for people to be done eating, as there's not much to capture during dinner time, and then either eating as fast as possible or not eating at all, because the speeches or other events are already starting at that time. In some cases, the shooters can take turns while the events are happening, but this means we would get less angles of coverage. We have prepared letters for every key vendor in the wedding to make sure the day goes seamlessly, and the letter to the caterer includes a request to let us eat at the beginning of dinner service, and may I even dare say, ahead of the line in case of a buffet, so we can get back to shooting as soon as possible. However, it may also help to let your caterer and coordinator know that you agree with our request. Sneak out session. In case you would like to get some night shots, or you didn't have time to get a good variety of shots during the couples session, you can do a sneak out session where you sneak out from your reception. This can also serve as a cool way to change the pace a little and appreciate a few moments with just each other towards the end of your wedding day. We especially recommend doing a sneak out session if you favor the epic and dramatic photography style. Equipment setup time needed, 15 to 20 minutes, depending on the type of shots we're doing. Ideal location, in front of grand buildings, trees, big empty spaces, beautiful staircases, or under an umbrella. Time needed, 10 to 20 minutes. Ideal time to do this is after the speeches before open dancing starts, or at the beginning of open dancing. Sparkler exit or any other grand exit. Equipment setup time needed, 15 to 20 minutes to reset and test the lighting. Time needed for this event, 15 minutes. We recommend doing the exit a few times to make sure we capture a few different shot types. It also helps if you don't rush to leave too much and stop to kiss in the middle of this festive atmosphere, so we can snap a few shots of your heightened emotions at this beautiful finale of your wedding day. Here are a few quick tips before we move on to the timeline checklist. The coverage needed for the full timeline we just went over is 10 to 12 hours. So what should you do if you have less than 10 to 12 hours of coverage in your package? The short answer is prioritize specific shots and events that are most important to you. The long answer is the recommendations we just gave you include enough time to get extensive coverage of each parts of the wedding. However, it is possible to cover some of those events in less time if we concentrate only on key parts. So if you give us less time than recommended for any of the parts of the wedding, make sure to let us know what you'd like us to focus on and dedicate more time to the parts of the wedding that are most important for you. The key is not to overpack the timeline with trying to squeeze in as much as possible, because that simply leads to rushing, stress, and reduced quality. Here is an example of good prioritizing. Let's say your package is on the shorter side, say 5 to 7 hours, and your biggest priority is the couples session, but you'd like to get some getting ready shots as well. You leave us 30 minutes for the getting ready shots and let us know that the most important photos for you in this section are your mom zipping up the dress, your maid of honor helping you to put the veil on, and a few bridal portraits. When we arrive to start shooting, you're ready to put on the dress with finished hair and makeup. Here is another example. You'd like us to capture the cake cutting, but the coverage ends before the cake cutting is scheduled. We do an early private cake cutting without the DJ announcing it, but the caterers don't serve the cake until the scheduled time. Make couple session a high priority. We love getting a beautiful variety of photos for our couples, and for that, having time is essential. Make sure to have at the very least a combined of 45 minutes of time for just the photos of the two of you. Here's an interesting case. This couple's timeline didn't go as planned, and they only ended up having 20 minutes for their couples session with barely any daylight left. They were disappointed that they were not able to take full advantage of the beauty of their venue, so they decided to do a post-wedding session. This time, they shot for an hour, and here are the photos they got. Same venue, same couple, different lighting conditions, and different amounts of time at the photographer's disposal. It's better to get at least a few getting ready shots rather than none at all. Photos and videos from getting ready are a great lead into the wedding story, especially in video, as you both start separately and end up together, just like you guys did in life. And finally, remember that you always have a choice. We give you recommendations based on our experience, and we hope that these recommendations will help you to have the best possible wedding. But ultimately, it is your wedding, and we'll gladly support you in whichever way you decide to have it. So, comes the time for the timeline checklist. Define the photos that are most important to me and make sure I have enough time for them. Assign a beauty watcher and inform them of their role. Assign a family photo list coordinator who knows the family and inform them of their role. Send a note to my caterer and coordinator asking them to allow the photo video crew to eat while the guests are eating to avoid wasting shooting time. That concludes our episodes on timeline. So now, let's go to our next exciting episode, energy.